This video will review the 6 comma rules to using commas correctly. Understanding commas. Some writers believe that a comma should be used whenever a pause is needed in a sentence. Unfortunately, this belief often results in overused or misused commas. For example, George's girlfriend in Seinfeld says,
I am breaking up with you.
Although this is how the audience hears this sentence in the episode of Seinfeld, it is nevertheless incorrect. I am breaking up with you is the correct form, without the commas in between. Without proper comma usage, meaning in sentences can sometimes be misconstrued. For example, let's eat, Grandma, means that we are telling Grandma to eat. However, without the comma in let's eat Grandma, the sentence then means that we are telling others that we should eat Grandma. So, use those commas correctly because commas save lives. There are 6 rules to using commas correctly. Comma Rule 1. When you use a conjunction to join 2 complete sentences, use a comma before the conjunction. The fanboys are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Grace wanted to get some Chinese fried rice, but Mohammed wanted to get Korean bibimbap. Note: be sure that the conjunctions do in fact connect 2 independent clauses, also known as complete sentences. In the following sentence, the conjunction is not joining 2 whole sentences, so no comma is needed. Marty tried Japanese takoyaki and was surprised that he loved it. There isn't a subject after the coordinating conjunction and, therefore a comma is not used. Comma Rule 2. Put a comma between items in a series, a list of 3 or more items. My favorite dishes to get at El Camino Real are the carnitas nachos, the al pastor quesadillas, and the carne asada tacos. Note: some formats, like those used in journalism, do not require a comma before the conjunction and last item in the series. However, MLA and APA formats do indicate that there should be a comma. You'll need to check with your professor. Comma Rule 3. Put a comma after an introductory expression that is not part of the main sentence. The introductory expression can be a word, like in this example. Yes, Thai food is so delicious. We also put commas after a phrase that comes before a complete sentence. Like in this example, for a falafel filling, you can have ground chickpeas or broad beans. Finally, we also put commas after a dependent clause that comes before a complete sentence. Like in this example, whenever Brian and Nicole go out for Indian food, they always get chicken tikka masala. Note: when a dependent clause follows a complete sentence, do not use a comma to separate the clauses. Using the same sentence as before, but with a dependent clause after, Nicole and Brian always get chicken tikka masala whenever they go out for Indian food. You can see that we don't use the comma between the independent and dependent clauses here, since the dependent clause is after the independent. Comma Rule 4. When a sentence directly addresses someone by name, separate the name from the rest of the sentence with a comma. I heard, Carlos, that you don't like to eat sushi. Jerry, have you finished eating your breakfast? Note: do not separate a name from the rest of the sentence when the person discussed is absent or is not being directly addressed. I heard that Carlos doesn't like to eat sushi. Has Jerry finished eating his breakfast? In both examples, we are speaking to someone else about Carlos and Jerry. We're not speaking to Carlos or Jerry directly, which is why we omit the commas. Comma Rule 5. Watch for transitional expressions that interrupt the flow of a sentence. These transitions include words and phrases like however, moreover, finally, therefore, of course, and on the other hand. Transitional words and phrases can be used in different parts of a sentence, including the beginning, middle, and end of a sentence. If the transition is at the beginning of a sentence, serving as an introductory phrase, put a comma after it. See rule number 3. Of course, Terry loves pancakes. However, she does not like French toast. If the transition is in the middle of a sentence and interrupts the sentence, put a comma before and after it. Lee and Pedro were, of course, happy to eat In-N-Out. David, however, was not so sure. If the transition comes between two complete sentences, put a semicolon before it and a comma after it. If you do not do this, you will have created a run-on sentence. Jen won the pie baking contest. In addition, she won a lifetime of free flour. Comma Rule 6. Put commas around non-essential, also called non-restrictive, material. Look especially for who or which clauses, appositives, and participial phrases. Gordon Ramsay, who is the head chef on Hell's Kitchen, became a popular meme when he did a parody of his show in Hell's Cafeteria.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
Idiot sandwich what?
An idiot sandwich, Chef Ramsay.
Carla Hall, ex-co-host of The Chew, believes food connects us all. Paul Hollywood, shaking the contestant's hand on the Great British Baking Show, only gives a handshake to those who have the best dishes for their baking challenges.
Come here.
Oh, he's still. I really love you, Paul.
This concludes the review video for the comma usage DLA. Please refer to the DLA for more information and to complete all of the DLA activities. Thank you.